You want to know what poses my guys obsess over every time in couples boudoir to the point it becomes their screensaver on their phone? Here are the 3 poses that I do every time because I know my guys are going to obsess over it in my couples boudoir. If you don't know me, I am Camille. I am a national known boudoir photographer in Green Bay, Wisconsin, specifically known for couples. When I think of couples, I think it's gotta be spicy, it's gotta show chemistry and tension. Those are my 3 things I'm always looking for in my sessions. So here's how we accomplish want and tension and need from the male perspective. I'm gonna add in that these poses can be done in any format. There is a series I go through and progression and story arc that I work through with my clients, but I am just going to give you the 3 poses. You can take them in your studio for your next couple session. The first one usually can be clothes on or clothes off in terms of layers, because if you know me, I like layers when it comes to couples boudoir. And this is an insinuation photo, if you will. I call it the finger licking good. What I have her do is I have them stand in front of my natural window light that I shoot off of. I'm gonna have him standing up nice and tall. Ribs up for the guys, butt back. They're still gonna be arching because a lot of guys slouch forward, causing their stomachs to kind of crumble on themselves. So we're gonna lift up nice and tall so that their abs are tension and pulling. I'm gonna have her on the ground on her knees. Still think butt back and ribs up for her. She isn't sitting on her heels, she's hovering in this instance. What I am going to have them do with their hands is I'm going to have him take the hand furthest away from the window light, like you can see here. He's gonna bring, usually I say like do 2 fingers or 1 finger. The thumb is weird, so I never have them do the thumb. Some people like the thumb, but usually 2 fingers. If you really wanna test her, 3 fingers. It's kind of a cheeky little joke. It's kind of like a goofy little joke, I say. I'm gonna have him bring his fingers of the off window light hand towards her mouth, put her hand on his wrist, and guide his fingers in and out of her mouth slowly. Through this, I still keep telling him or reminding him to lift his ribs because guys like to slouch on in this pose. So he's gonna lift his ribs up. He's gonna think chin up and looking down with his eyes instead of like turning his face down so that his jawline is not pushed in. Then she is going to do it 2 to 3 times roughly with her eyes open and 2 to 3 times with her eyes closed. I do tell her to like hollow out her cheeks so that her lips almost pull off his fingers, if that makes sense. So she's dragging it out. Think of like a sucker coming out of your mouth. That's how I describe it. So you're like very puckered. I say specifically a blow pop because they're circles. Then after that, I take it from 3 different angles, so there's a ton of variety with this single pose. So I'm big into a point of view perspective. That's him looking like over his shoulder. So what do they see when it's happening, and then vice versa, like the look up. I also like to shoot sideways at them, so like directly into my window light, creates beautiful silhouettes. And then kind of like coming off of his like bicep elbow region looking down. That's the one that gets printed the most, I would say. But a lot of the guys also like the top down. So as you can see, kind of all those options over there. So that's number 1, the men go crazy. Number 2, and you're gonna start noticing a trend, is insinuating a BJ, is how I would say that. So I'm gonna have him on the couch. Usually I start with his arms wide so that he cannot involve his hands in this. He can just experience and feel. Same thing, guys like to sit in like C's. So I have him like arch almost over the couch, so ribs up nice and high. This also, because of the deep shadowing, will usually make biceps look super intense, pecs, abs, every time. Remember, ribs up will again kind of draw out the core tension, if you will. Then she is going to be on her knees with her arms on both sides of his thighs, so I have to make sure it's like the right distance away, so play with that. Because if she's too far away, she looks like this, and if she's too close, she's like this. So it's kind of like a resting his kneecaps or inner thighs like right under here. So we're not like straight armed and we're not like in. It's kind of like this position right here. And then she is going to tease him and taunt him. Again, clothes are still on. Sometimes his boxers are on, sometimes his jeans are on, but they're like unbuttoned. So she can go down and she can do like breath play. She can nibble, she can lick. He cannot move his arms until I tell him he's ready. And then I usually do the window arm to the back of the head, and then we ball up the hair so that he has quote unquote control. So it's more of a dominant pose. And then after this, I usually take a photo like of him watching and then lift his head up and drop his head back, again drawing his whole ribs up and rippling down his core, if you will, so as you can see here. And this one, because it insinuates something, even though there are clothes on, huge seller. The last pose, slightly raunchy, but also a good one. It usually gets printed. It's always in the album. I would say most of my guys, usually when they see this photo on the back of my camera, are like their jaw is unhinged. So he doesn't move off the couch for this one. What I'm gonna have her do is reverse cowgirl. So she's gonna straddle his lap with both of her legs. She's gonna straddle his lap with both of her legs, but she is going to put her forearms on the ground, arch, and stick her bum cheeks up in, or butt cheeks up into his groin region. What this gives you is direct access, if you will. She still has bottoms on here. What I'm gonna have him do, and yes, this might seem a little weird, but because I am married to someone that lifted a lot, I know that when there's like a lot of tension in the forearms, the veins pop. So sometimes I'll have her like, if you have ever seen like people slap their muscles, it pops the veins out. So sometimes I will have him swift slap it very aggressively, but not enough to do a handprint, so that the veins pop out in his arm for this. And he can also flex his hand. So it looks way worse than it is because my job is to make everyone look great. So usually I have him like flex up his whole tricep, and he's gonna stick his hand underneath and touch her belly button. Yes, we're going deep. I tell him you're digging for gold. It's like a joke. But he's gonna go like this, and then the other hand, this is the window light hand, is going to like caress her butt cheek. Again, looks way more aggressive than what's going on, but that is kind of how I get into this one. Medals, ice cubes, elbow. This photo is everywhere in my client's space in life. So this one, please do. Next time, I promise you, it will sell like hotcakes. I see a lot of photographers will like maybe do it and they only do like the butt cheeks, but our job is to capture their attention, their chemistry, their love, and honestly, their sex life, right? That's the goal. No one captures it as well as a photographer and artist who is well-trained and well-versed for this. So this one is huge, so add that to your repertoire. So those are the 3 poses that every time guys go crazy with, and I love creating for my clients. And again, it's from the male's perspective, so it actually puts them at the forefront instead of a prop. I see way too many of you using the men as a prop in the photo shoot, and that is not the purpose. That's all men think they are in life, and that's not the purpose. Everyone should feel wanted and loved and cherished, so I make sure that that happens in my studio. So go ahead, if you're loving this content, hit that subscribe button, share it with all your photographer homies. Let's build like this powerhouse boudoir community of photographers that are really looking to dive into couples the right way. So hit that subscribe, and I'll see you next time.